Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with the latest in budget deck technology. And for today's deck tag, we'll be covering a deck that I'm just going to call Hot Girl Summer. As you can tell, of course, looking at the screen right now, this is basically a Chandra tribal deck. But what has changed since the last time we played with Chandra when Explorer first came out? Well, you're about to see right now some sweet new additions thanks to the latest sets that make this deck super awesome play even on a budget. Now, of course, before we get into it, let's of course go over the basic stats of the deck. So you are playing basically a mono red deck with an average mana curve of about 2.6. You are going to be running 4 creatures in the deck, 18 instants, 3 artifacts, 11 planeswalkers, and 24 lands. So, as I just mentioned earlier, this is basically a Chandra tribal deck where we're trying to get out as many Chandras as possible to then just overwhelm our opponent and burn them out. So with that, let's actually cover again the Chandras we're going to be playing with first before we kind of cover the rest of the support. So beginning in the 3-drop slot, we have Chandra Acolyte of Flame and Chandra Dress to Kill. Basically, Chandra Acolyte of Flame is here just to bump up loyalty counters on the rest of our planeswalkers with its 0 ability, although we can do a little extra damage with its second 0 ability, and if we have to, we can flashback stuff with its -2. With Chandra Dress to Kill, only a single copy because we are a budget deck, but allows us to of course ping our opponent little by little and add a little extra red mana in order for us to help cast other spells. The exiling ability is best used of course in the mid to late game when we have enough mana out. In the 4-drop slot, we have Chandra Novice Pyromancer, 2 copies of this, and 3 copies of Chandra Torch of Defiance. So with these cards, these are basically where the bigger meat of the deck comes in. We can add in a lot more mana with both of their abilities. With Torch of Defiance, it's a +1. Novice Pyromancer, it's a -1. We don't really care too much about the +1 ability on the Novice Pyromancer because we only have a couple of elemental creatures. However, this can be helpful if we need to finish off our opponent in a pinch. But realistically, Chandra Torch of Defiance is really what we want to have here. Its exile ability allows us to either ping out our opponent or just give us a little bit more card advantage. And then finally, in the 6-drop slot is where our big Chandras come in. We have Awakened Inferno, and the new one from March of the Machine, Chandra Hope's Beacon. Specifically, let's talk about this card and why we want to put at least just 1 copy of it. So for 6 mana, this Chandra has a static ability that says, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. So obviously, just this card alone is really what we want to get out. I know it kind of seems weird to only have 1 copy of the star of the show, but realistically, it's just because its ability kind of becomes a little hard to do since we are balanced between planeswalkers and also instant spells. We'll show you what we're going to try to abuse with this in a little bit. Otherwise, our other way we're going to get to victory is Chandra Awakened Inferno. With 2 copies of this, the spell can't be countered, and same thing, it just provides us more incremental damage as we keep plussing it up with its +2 ability. But otherwise, the whole game plan, as I just mentioned, of course, is to overwhelm your opponent with all these Chandras. So with that, we have a lot of burn that comes in a mix and match of things. Most of it either goes to our opponent's face, or the rest of it will just provide us support by hitting our opponent's creatures and planeswalkers. Starting in the 1-drop slot, you have Play with Fire. Pretty simple. It's a shock with just better ability to scry if we hit to face. 2 copies of Spikeville Hazard. It can be a land in a pinch, great in the early game, and in the mid to late game, it can hopefully help close out the game if we really need that 1 extra point of damage just to finish off our opponent. Chandra's Embercat is our only mana source here that we can use to help ramp us up. It's a nice little flavor bonus. Chandra's Regulator is here as a great way to help filter out through what we need and what we don't need throughout the deck. We have sets of Heartfire and Volcanic Spite. With Volcanic Spite, this card allows us to either ping out our opponent by either dishing out some damage to their creature, planeswalker, or even battle, and if we can also just tuck away whatever we don't need to draw into something better. Heartfire is here just because in case we do run out of options, and if we need to just burn out our opponent, we can just sacrifice one of our planeswalkers, and then hopefully just dish out damage either to face, or if we really have to, we can also throw it to an opponent's creature. And then finally, a new card that for most people may seem like this is a very expensive burn spell, and it is, but it really provides for us excellent support with its Proliferate ability. So with the Proliferate, if we have a couple Chandras out, this card actually has a lot of better value for that 3 mana you're going to spend to use it. As far as your land base is concerned, very simple. Since we are a budget deck, you're running 15 lands, you're going to have 4 Ramanop Ruins, a Field of Ruin, and some Interplanar Beacons to help us gain some life back and hopefully stabilize if we have to deal with creature heavy decks. As far as your sideboard is concerned, you'll be running Chandra's Defeat for enemy red decks. You'll have Soul Guide Lantern as your catch-all for Graveyard Hate, a single copy of Obliterating Bolt just to exile something we really don't want to deal with. Flame Sweep is here as our cheap but effective Wrath. Lithomeric Barrage can't be countered, and it's also great against white and blue creatures and planeswalkers out there. Burning Hands is the same thing, but now for green. Some Diamond Mares just to help us gain a little bit more life against more burn-heavy decks out there. And even though it's not a Chandra, Tibalt Rakish Instigator provides for us a way to shut off life gain decks and also can help get some tokens out there just to provide some decent blockers. Not to mention, it's actually kind of sweet if you can get this out and also have a Volt Charge to then refill its loyalty cost. But otherwise, that's basically it for you. What do you think about this, Chandra? I actually haven't asked the hot girl herself. How does she feel about this?
When people start screaming, I know I'm on track.
Well, that's a very Chandra thing to say. But in any case, I don't know about you, but I love this deck. I've played variations of this off and on throughout the time. But honestly, this is the first time we're going to try to make an attempt at playing this on a budget. So will it work? Well, there's only one way to find out. So let's take the deck, of course, into a couple matches and show you what this deck's got. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content so you don't miss out on any of the gameplay, booster pack openings, deck decks, and so much more. Okay, my fiery friends, here we go. We are playing Hot Girl Summer. It's Chandra Tribal on a budget, and, well, we don't have Chandra in hand, but we do have a lot of removal, so I'm going to keep this because I'm hedging my bets that our opponent might actually have quite a few creatures to drop. So with that, let's work with that, and hopefully we'll draw into a Chandra. Alright, they got a swamp. We'll play the mountain and Chandra's regulator. I'm anticipating they won't have removal, so we're just going to wait for a second for that Ember Cat. Alright. Ooh, we got Chandra Awakened Inferno. That's great. So we'll work towards that. The Ember Cat. What's our opponent playing? They got snow-covered swamps, but hopefully it won't be anything that's going to hurt us. Curse of Leeches. Wow, I haven't seen this card in a while. Alright, well, that's fine. Find a way to deal with that. So now that we kind of know that, we should probably put back the Volcanic Spite. And okay, we got something. We get pinged here, and we can play Chandra Torch Defiance. We will then take up, exile a land, just deal some damage. We can't have this flip. But hopefully our opponent won't have too much else we got to worry about. Shambling Ghast. Okay, that it? Guess we'll wait and see if they have anything else. Phyrexian Arena. Alright. Well, that's fine for now. We're getting pinged here pretty bad, but that's okay. Interplanar Beacon. We will tick up. We will then pay to get a ton of mana.
Yup, you're going down.
Chandra Awakened Inferno. Alright. We can then tick up. Pay. No attacks. So our opponent's actually going to get pinged out pretty quickly here if they're not careful. Just wait for that Volt Charge. We might be able to pull off something awesome here. Alright. Radiant Fountain. Okay, well, they have an interesting land base here. If we can just lay on a couple more of these emblems, we might be able to overwhelm our opponent before the curses take them over. Hopefully that can work out for us. Opponent keeps looking at our Chandras. I don't know if they have an answer. If they have an answer, they would have killed it by now. Unless they're really trying to figure out which one they want. Oh, so they did take one. Alright. I mean, that's fine. Alright. Get pinged here. Okay, so we're using Voltaic Sprite. Deadly Dispute. Okay, so opponent's still in this. We will throw away the extra Chandra's regulator, draw into a card. Okay, we got Ramanop Ruins. We will exile twice. Decline the Heartfire.
Yup, you're going down.
Decline the Volt Charge. Go swinging. Down to 14. Okay. Their opponent is still drawing cards, but they're losing life very quickly here. Is it going to be enough? Down to 11. All we just need to do is... Okay, they have Sorin. That's actually not bad for us. We can deal with that. Gifted Aetherborn. Okay, our opponent thinks they have the edge here, but we've got it here. Okay, so here's how we do this, everybody. We will ultimate.
I don't need this.
I think we got there. I don't think our opponent has a way of dealing with this. Okay, so we will definitely pay for this. double triggers. So there we go. We get emblems off, and this basically will overwhelm our opponent right here. We get the game.
Oh, it's you, Bert. Let's light it up.
Okay, so we've got this now. So with that, actually, wait, hold on. Just go straight to face. Forget it. We got this. Okay, we got this. Unless if our opponent has some kind of removal right here or some kind of like light game spell, we've got it right here. Boom. Boom. And it doesn't matter because we won. There you go, everybody. Oh, man. People are sleeping on that card. Yeah, people are sleeping on Volt Charge. This is actually pretty awesome in Planeswalker decks. I love it. Okay, my fire friends, here we go. We're playing Hot Girl Summer deck, our Chandra Tribal deck. And okay, so we have a lower end Chandra, but that's fine. We have plenty of ways of getting to her, so let's keep this and hope that it's enough. So with that, let's put on our mountain and we'll pass here. Okay, so game plan's pretty quick. We just get another land, Chandra's Ember Cat comes out, and we can just defeat our opponent here. Okay, Skrell. We don't want that on the field. We got to get rid of that now. So burn that out. Field of Ruin. All right. Chandra's Ember Cat. Meow meow. Mana Confluence. Srom. Okay, so there's some kind of equipment deck, or I guess aura deck, but that's fine with us. We need to just Volcanic Sprite stuff now. We will not tuck anything, so we decline. Go swinging. Down to 17. Another Mana Confluence. Squirrel number 2. Cartouche of Solidarity. Interesting. That's fine. Okay, so with this, Interplanar Beacon again. Chandra Novice Pyromancer. Gain life. We will then tick down to create some mana. Take out Skrell here. We then proliferate to keep it back up. Okay. It's a little janky, but it is working. Selfless Savior. Ethereal Armor. Okay, on the token. That's getting a little desperate there, but that's fine.
Nope. Don't like that.
Okay, so with that, we will then tick down Chandra. Will they sacrifice here? They do. But we can burn that out. Okay. Not exactly the best way I was expecting this deck to go, but it is working. Oh, okay. I guess that's a win. The weakest Chandra we had got us the victory, so I guess I'll take that. Okay, everybody, here we go. We're playing Hot Girl Summer, a Chandra tribal deck coming up. And okay, I think this is actually pretty decent. We do have multiple Chandras, the Acolyte of Flame, but that's perfectly fine. We have enough lands to cast everything, so let's keep this and see if we can make it work. So Mountain first, and our opponent's going to go now. All right, they play a Pathway land, and oh, okay, so it looks like it's going to be humans. So that's fine. We're going to have to just try to see if we can outrace them. If we can get to at least a couple of our burn spells, maybe we might be able to get there quick. Gallagher Eaters. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so with that, we will play another Mountain. We will play... Let's see, how do we do this? I think we should play Chandra Dress to Kill. We can then just ping our opponents. We don't get any value from that, so we're just going to skip.
I'd love to.
Okay, at least at the very least, our opponent will not be able to take out this Chandra. Oh, actually, I forgot they get a bunch of counters from this. Is that actually going to take him out? I guess we'll find out right now. Oh, we do lose Chandra. Well, that's actually unfortunate, but that's okay, everybody. We're still going to find a way out of this. So with that, we're going to have to... I don't like doing this, but we're going to have no choice. -4 just to take out the Botanical Brawler. We can get to Chandra Awakened Inferno. Maybe we'll have a shot here, but it depends on what our opponent's doing here. Our opponent is definitely a counter-heavy deck. Another land. Opponent goes swinging just to take out the Chandra. Oh boy. We're running out of time here.
Whatever. Figure it out on your own.
So, Chandra's Regulator. Acolyte of Flame. We will then
More control.
put a loyalty counter.
Just let me burn. I believe Mother Rudy gave us homework.
Opponent, just leave us alone for a little bit, okay? Please? Heliod's on ground. Oh, yikes. Yikes. Oh boy. Well, this is gonna suck.
Well, this stinks.
Okay, our opponent most likely is gonna swing. Okay, so they're ignoring Chandra completely. But that's why. Well, not much we can do about that, everybody. Well, that kind of stunk. Our opponent just outraced us there, but it is what it is. And there you have it, everybody. So that was Hot Girl Summer for you, our Chandra tribal deck on a budget. So you tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Are you a fan of this deck in any way, shape, or form? My overall initial thoughts after we played it for a little bit was it's definitely a little bit trickier to play on a budget. Also, the other hard part we have to keep in mind is trying to figure out the right balance between the instants and sorceries versus the Chandras is also going to be a little bit of a challenge with this deck. So keep that in mind if you do want to play it. Still, as you kind of saw, when the deck is capable of going off, it can be an explosively powerful deck that overwhelms your opponent. And to be perfectly honest, this deck I honestly think is pretty awesome, but I would highly recommend that this is going to be one of those decks that you really want to optimize by upgrading it as soon as you can if you are a fan of this. So for those of you who are my true fiery friends, stick around because right now we're about to show you how you can make this deck even hotter than it currently is. Now to upgrade the deck, we have quite a few upgrades here and a lot more planeswalkers we can add. So with this, we're going to be changing around some stuff. We'll be getting rid of those Heartfires. We're going to trim down the Volcanic Spites and Volt Charges so we can make room for Sweltering Suns in the main deck. So this gives you now a Wrath that you can use that also cycles when you don't need it. We're going to add in another copy of Chandra's Regulator. We will then be able to smash in another copy of Chandra Dress to Kill. We'll have another copy of Chandra Acolyte of Flame. We'll also squeeze in Chandra Heart of Fire as well as a 5-drop Chandra. And also we can squeeze in another copy of Chandra Hope's Beacon to give us a lot more planeswalkers to work with. And also since we got rid of the other uncommon planeswalkers, we can now add in another copy of Chandra Torch of Defiance to give us a full playset for the main deck. Otherwise, your other upgrades to the land base are also going to be pretty good here. You'll have Den of the Bugbear as always. You'll then trim down one Ramanop Ruins, because then we're going to rely a little bit more on Sokas and Crucible Defiance, and a single copy of Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, so that way we can then use the Devotion to cast more of our Chandras much more quickly. And then as for the upgrades to the sideboard, this one's going to be more my personal preference, but as always, adjust based upon what's going on in the meta. So you can see right here, we're going to add in a little bit more color hate for each of the colors here. So another copy of Burning Hands, another copy of Chandra's Defeat, another copy of Lithomeric Barrage. We're going to add in a full playset of Roiling Vortex to punish all those life gain decks that are running around out there. And again, this also punishes combo decks that are trying to cast things for free. And then finally, copies of Unlicensed Hearths as our new graveyard hate, where we can then use incremental exiling effects. If we manage to crew this out, this also becomes a really sweet finisher, but most likely it's only just because you either have a leftover cat or maybe you have a couple of those elemental tokens that allow us to then swing with this. But my only final thoughts I'm just going to say on the deck is I, again, love how this deck turned out. And of course, out of all the Planeswalker decks you can play out there, honestly, I think Chandra has the best support out of any of them. As you kind of noticed, she has a lot of her own specific cards that handle both ramp for her and also card draw and filtering, which are going to be really great for us if you do like this kind of deck. Still, if you do want to see me play other types of just Planeswalker-centric decks out there, leave a comment below, and I would definitely love to hear from you. My only other final thing I want to leave you with before we wrap this up is, if you are a fan of Chandra, if you like tribal decks in a slightly different way where it's mostly just Planeswalker heavy, if you just want to play mono red but on a completely different level, I would definitely say give this deck a try. If you do play this whether during the summer or any time of the year, you will surely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.